Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept our humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Welcome to this morning's Srimad Bhagavatam class. It's from Canto 2, Chapter 9, and Text 2. We're fortunate to have this morning Her Grace Madhavi Gaurangi Mataji from ISKCON, Philadelphia, to give the class. Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept our humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, please accept my humble obeisances. All goes to Srila Prabhupada.
Yeah, it's all yours, Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much for giving such a wonderful opportunity, Prabhuji, to speak on the glories of Srimad Bhagavatam this morning. I'm very grateful and honored to speak on today's verse. So let's just start with our beautiful bhajan we recite in the morning before the discussion of Srimad Bhagavatam. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jan Vallabha Girivare Dhari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jan Vallabha Girivare Dhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janvallabha Girivare Dhari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janvallabha Girivare Dhari Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Radha Sharad Bihari Radha Sharad Bihari Radhe Jaya Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Maharani Jaya Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Maharani Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Jaya Prabhupada 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 Srila Prabhu Bada Nitai Gora Hari Bol, Nitai Gora Hari Bol, Jai Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jai Om Vishnupada Paramhansa Parivrajakacarya Ashtottar Shri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupada Paramhansa Parivrajakacarya Ashtottar Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधरा शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड की धाम की जय। गंगा मई की जय, जमुना मई की जय, भक्तिमती तुलसी महारानी की जय, समवेत भक्त वृंद की जय। गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Hare Bol. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayan Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtaki. Hare Krishna. So today we are reading from Canto 2nd, chapter number 9, verse number 2. bahu-rūpa ivābhāti māyayā bahu-rūpayā ramamāṇo guṇeṣvasya mamāhamīti manyate. bahu-rūpa ivābhāti māyayā bahu-rūpayā ramamāṇo guṇeṣvasya mamāhamīti manyate. bahu-rūpa ivābhāti māyayā bahu-rūpayā ramamāṇo guṇeṣvasya mamāhamati manyate. Anyone would like to recite, chant the verse?
Bahu-rūpa ivābhāti māyayā bahu-rūpayā ramamāṇo guṇeṣvasya mamāham iti manyate. Hare Krishna.
bahu-rūpa ivābhāti māyayā bahu-rūpayā ramamāṇo guṇeṣvasya mamāhamite manyate. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay, so synonyms: bahu-rūpaha, multiforms, eva, as it were, abhati, manifested, māyayā, by the influence of the exterior energy, bahu-rūpayā, in multifarious forms, ramamāṇah, enjoying as it were, guṇeṣv, in the modes of different qualities, asyā, of the external energy, mama, mine, aham, I, iti, thus, manyate, thinks. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The illusioned living entity appears in so many forms offered by the external energy of the Lord, while enjoying in the modes of material nature. The encaged living entity misconceives thinking in terms of I and mine. Purport. The different forms of the living entities are different dresses offered by the illusionary external energy of the Lord, according to the modes of nature. The living being desires to enjoy. The external material energy is represented by her three modes, namely goodness, passion, and ignorance. So even in the material nature, there is a chance of an independent choice by the living entity. And according to his choice, the material energy offers him different varieties of material bodies. There are 900,000 varieties of material bodies in the water. 200,000, 2 million vegetable bodies, 1,100,000 worms and reptiles, 1 million forms of birds, 3 million different bodies of beasts, and 400,000 human forms. Altogether, there are 8.4 million varieties of bodies in different planets of the universe. And the living entity is traveling by so many transmigrations according to the different modes of enjoying spirit within himself. Even in one particular body, the living entity changes from childhood to boyhood, from boyhood to youth, from youth to old age, and from old age to another body created by his own action. The living entity creates his own body by his personal desires, and the external energy of the Lord supplies him the exact form by which he can enjoy his desires to the fullest extent. The tiger wanted to enjoy the blood of another animal, and therefore, by the grace of the Lord, the material energy supplied him the body of the tiger with facilities for enjoying blood from another animal. Similarly, a living entity desiring to get the body of a demigod in a higher planet can also get it by the grace of the Lord. And if he is intelligent enough, he can desire to get a spiritual body to enjoy the company of the Lord, and he will get it. So the minute freedom of the living entity can be fully utilized, and the Lord is so kind that he will award the living entity the same type of body he desires. The living entity's desiring is like a dream, is like dreaming of a golden mountain. A person knows what a mountain is, and he knows also what gold is, out of his desire only a mountain. And when the dream is over, he sees something else in his presence. He finds in his awkward state that there is neither gold nor a mountain. And what to speak of a golden mountain? The different positions of the living entity in the material world under multifarious manifestations of bodies are due to the misconception of mine and I. The karmi thinks of this world as mine, and jnani thinks I am everything. The whole material conception of politics, sociology, philanthropy, altruism, etc., conceived by the conditional souls, is on the basis of this misconceived I and mine, which are products of a strong desire to enjoy material life, identification with the body, and the place where the body is obtained under different conceptions of socialism, nationalism, family affection, and so on and so forth, is all due to forgetfulness of the real nature of the living entity, and the whole misconception of the bewildered living entity can be removed by the association of Shukdev Goswami and Maharaj Parikshit, as all this is explained in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhuva evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namo. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. It's very auspicious to perform Mangalacharan before any discussion, as Mangalacharan invokes blessings from our previous acharyas, and it's our duty to show our gratitude towards those personalities who have given us this treasure of knowledge, which all of us are relishing today. So we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, and as we know, Srimad Bhagavatam, the 12 skandhas or 12 cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam are compared with different limbs of the Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna. So Srimad Bhagavatam is non-different from the Supreme Lord. But at the same time, Srimad Bhagavatam is also different from the Supreme Lord in the way that Srimad Bhagavatam is very readily and easily available in this age and in this age and day, and it is explained with various commentaries by our Vaishnavacharyas, so that all the verses in Srimad Bhagavatam, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Chaitanya Charitamrita, when he is explaining the meaning of Atmaram verse in 61 different ways, he explained that this Srimad Bhagavatam is Krishna Tulya, or it is comparable to Lord Shri Krishna. And every shloka and every verse, prati shloke prati akshare, every shloka, every word describes various meanings. So many meanings. And based on that, there are various commentaries available by our Rasik Vaishnav Acharyas on this Srimad Bhagavatam. So this Srimad Bhagavatam is something which is like the most important thing in the life of a devotee. Although we know that there are 64 angas or limbs of bhakti which has been given to us by our dearmost Acharya Rupa Goswami in his literature Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu and Srila Prabhupada in Nectar of Devotion is summarizing all those 64 limbs of bhakti. But out of those 64 limbs also, 5 are concluded to be best, and these 5 we know is Mathuravas or stay in the place of pilgrimage, especially Vraja. Mathuravas. Next is association with devotees. Second one. Third one is deity worship. Fourth one is chanting of holy names. And the sixth one is very important, reading of Srimad Bhagavatam. These 5 limbs are the conclusion from all those 64 limbs, and these 5 things a devotee must be doing, or these 5 limbs of bhakti should be there in a life of a devotee. So Srila Prabhupada has given us an absolutely amazing process, and this process is including all these 5 limbs very appropriately in our daily routine. And Srimad Bhagavatam, we are hearing and reading Srimad Bhagavatam in the morning is an indication of prioritizing Sri Bhagavan in our life. So Srimad Bhagavatam's importance is immense, and we should all be very grateful and thankful to all those personalities who has come in this lineage and has given us all these commentaries along with the original text as it is. So today we are reading from Canto 2nd and we are on chapter 9. So today's verse is text number 2. But prior to this, what is happening in the story? The context is in chapter 8, we have seen that Parikshit, the dialogue is going on between Shukdev Goswami and Maharaj Parikshit. So Shukdev Goswami is asking questions. Parikshit Maharaj is asking questions from Shukdev Goswami. And Parikshit Maharaj asked in the beginning of chapter 8, Parikshit Maharaj glorified the importance of hearing Hari Katha. Importance of hearing Hari Katha, how Hari Katha purifies the heart of devotee, and how devotee never gives up the lotus feet of the Lord. And this Hari Katha is the medium through which we can reach the lotus feet of Bhagavan Shri Krishna. So that's how Parikshit Maharaj inspired Shukdev Goswami to speak more about the glories or the stories or the pastimes of the Supreme Lord. And specifically in the verses 7 to 11 in chapter 8 of second canto, Parikshit Maharaj asked these questions about Lord and Jiva. Or we can say he asked questions about Purusha and Jiva. So as we know, there are 5 things which are eternal, as it is very nicely mentioned in Madhvacharya's philosophy. 5 eternal things are what? Supreme Lord or the Purusha. Purusha, Prakriti. Prakriti is material nature. Jiva or individual living entity. Kala, time, and karma. Activities which is karma. Karma has lots of definitions, but these 5 things are eternal. Eternal means that these 5 things are there since beginningless. These 5 things are there since beginningless, and there is no end to these 5 things or 5 tattvas. So Parikshit Maharaj asked Shukdev Goswami about Purusha and Jiva, or Lord and this living entity, in verses 7 to 11 in the previous chapter. Specifically, he asked, how did this Jiva or the living entity who is spiritual? We know that this living entity is spiritual. Lord Shri Krishna in Bhagavad Gita in chapter 7, he is explaining very clearly that there is one Shakti or one energy of mind which is inferior, and that energy is separated. And he is describing that energy as Ashtada Prakriti, which is, we know, earth, water, fire, air, and ether, mind, intelligence, and ego. And there is another superior energy of mind, 7.5 Krishna is saying, and that is living entities. This is living entities. Now, living entity is spiritual in nature, as Krishna is saying in Bhagavad Gita, 15th chapter, that these living entities are of the same nature as mine. They are my anshas. So these living entities, how come? Because this living entity is spiritual, is getting entrapped in a body which is material. Basically, we see then this matter and spirit, both are just like oil and water. If you try to mix oil in water, it's never going to mix. Oil is always going to float on the surface, right? So similarly, this property is completely different. So how come this jiva gets a material body, and on top of that, and this living entity start considering itself as the body? That's what we have first-hand experience on this. At least I have. I consider myself body. So how this happens? And so many other questions followed up on this on these two main questions. And then the answers to these questions are now being given by Shukdev Goswami to Maharaj Parikshit in this current chapter, which we are reading, chapter number 9. And Shukdev Goswami, let me just open the text from today. Just give me a second. Shukdev Goswami, he said to Parikshit Maharaj, the illusioned living entity appears in so many forms offered by the external energy of the Lord. While enjoying in the modes of material nature, the encaged living entity misconceives thinking in terms of I and mine. So here, Parikshit Maharaj, Shukdev Goswami started answering. He started answering that this living entity just get illusion by the modes of material nature. But how this process works? So there are two classes of living entities. And Lord Shri Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, he says, Lord Shri Krishna in Bhagavad Gita is saying that in 15:16 that there are two kinds of living entities. He started this verse by saying that into two classes. Are those living entities
Can you guys? Can you guys hear Mataji? Actually, she's
No, Prabhuji, we can't hear.
I don't think she's on at all. I'm looking at the list of participants and she's not on there, which means her okay, now she's coming back on. Well, yeah, okay. There was some disruption, Mataji, so we're just trying to. Can you hear her?
No, Prabhu.
Okay, sorry.
Now we can hear. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. I was just giving class and I just got lost. Its connection just went off.
Yeah. The last so it was about 2 or 3 minutes. So if you can backtrack a little bit what you were saying about 2 minutes ago, that will kind of connect us.
Okay.
As best as you can.
What you remember, Prabhu, what I was saying? I mean, 2 minutes back. Okay. So, anyways, so I was talking about that living entity. There are innumerable kinds of living entity. And Krishna in 15:16 is saying that there are innumerable living entities, but these living entities can be divided into two classes. One is polyable and other is impollyable. So, polyable living entities, they reside in the body of Karanodakshaya Vishnu, who is the first Purusha Avatara in this material world. And this polyable living entities, they are residing in the body of Mahavishnu since Anadi Kala or from beginningless. So whenever material creation happens, Karanodakshaya Vishnu glances over Prakriti and all the jivas who are ready to take birth in this material universe get injected into the womb of Mother Prakriti. So now this living entity is covered by karma or the desires of performing karma, fruitive activities from the previous birth or from the previous creation. And they get into the contact with the material nature from beginningless. There is no time, there is nothing which has been set which can describe when this is happening. So now this living entity is covered by karma as well as by avidya. So there are 5 kinds of avidyas, or there are 5 kinds of kleshas which has been explained by Patanjali. And these 5 are avidya or ignorance. This is ignorance. What is the ignorance? This avidya, covering of avidya, forgets this living, make this living entity forgetful about its real nature. Avidya, and then second is asmita. Asmita is false ego. This false ego, covering of false ego, this living entity who has already forgotten its real nature, start connecting itself with something which this living entity is not, because of the presence of false ego, or we can say asmita. So 2 things are happening. One, this living entity is forgetting itself, and the living entity is connecting itself with something which this living entity is not. Why? Because of the presence of mithya-hankar. So avidya, karma, mithya-hankar, and now other subtle things start coming in the picture. And these subtle things are what? These subtle things are chittam, mind, intelligence, sukshma or subtle senses, and then gross senses. So the 5 topics or the 5 kaleshas which I was talking, avidya, asmita, and because this living entity start connecting itself with something which this living entity is not, because of the presence of such kind of mentality, this living entity start feeling raga and dvesha. Raga means attachment. Because I consider myself Madhavi Gaurangi, so I think that this particular thing belongs to me. So this is raga, attachment. And if somebody else has something which I don't possess, so I create dvesha or enviousness towards that particular thing. And the 5th kind of klesha or 5th kind of ignorance is abhinivesha, fear of death. First of all, this living entity is not this body, but this living entity is considering itself to be body, and because of that reason, this living entity start thinking that who am I? I am this particular person, and because I am this particular person, these particular things belongs to me, and other things which are not mine, I start getting enviousness towards it, and at the end, abhinivesha is fear of death. And if we go in chapter 12 of Canto 3rd, we can see that Brahmaji, when Brahmaji started doing his secondary creation, Visarga, after getting all the ingredients from the Virata Purusha for the secondary creation, Brahmaji also created 5 kinds of avidya. And these 5 kinds of avidya very nicely as mentioned. And these 5 kinds of avidyas are moha. Moha is self-deception. Self-deception, that means this moha, when this person identifies itself with the temporary material body, which is equivalent to asmita, as we discussed, which Patanjali has given. Now, next is tamas. Tamas is avidya, or forgetfulness of the true identity. That I am soul, because of the layering of ignorance, mode of ignorance by the material energy, this living entity completely forgets. And forgets that I am a spirit soul. And because it forgets, the other layer of Mithya Ahankar, false ego, gives the consciousness of the soul that you are, connects it with the body. Actually, the presence of false ego is just like a knot between the spirit and the matter. And then Mahamoha. Mahamoha is equivalent to Raga. Mahamoha means I am already connected with my body. Now the things connected to, like this sari, this table, chair, laptop, everything belongs to me. This is mine. I and mine. This is Mahamoha, or sense of false ownership. Or in one other name which Patanjali is giving it is Raga, attachment. And next, which Brahmaji fourth deception, Tamishra. Tamishra, or anger, or we can say Dvesha or aversion with Patanjali. So these 5 are comparable with Brahmaji. So Brahmaji is creating these 5 in the Visarga, in the secondary creation. But these 5, Avidya, Asmita, Raga, Dvesha and Abhinivesha has been created in the primary creation. So Tamishra is anger after frustration. That because this thing is not mine, I am angry now. I'm frustrated because I wanted to enjoy this thing, but it's not mine. And 5th is equivalent to Abhinivesha, which is Andha Tamishra, which is the feeling of death. Because I consider myself as this body, so I get this fear of death. I get this fear of death. So, in fact, the same kind of questions are going to be asked by Vidurji from Maitreya Muni in 3rd canto. And Maitreya Muni is also going to give the similar kind of answer, that it is only the illusion or misconception of this living entity which thinks that I am this body. But in fact, this living entity is not this body. It's just like, I am there is a bank robbery in front of my eyes, and I get so absorbed in looking at that bank robbery that I started thinking that I am the thief. I am the thief, and when the cop is coming, I am saying, I did not do it. I did not do it. I did not do it anyways. So cops and the police or the cop is searching for the real thief, but I am thinking I am the thief and I am running out of fear. It's like that. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is giving this example. And one more example he is giving for the misconception is that, it's not that material energy is only, material energy is covering me. It's that I am in a room where material energy is present. For example, if there is a necklace in my neck, and I want to see that necklace, but I am in a room which is dark, without light, and I'm not able to see because the light is not on. Everything is dark here. So this necklace, which is there in my own neck, I'm not able to see, and I am screaming, where is my necklace? Where is my necklace? And nobody is covering my eyes. My eyes are open, but because of the darkness, I'm not able to see. And what is the solution? I just go out in a room, or I just go out in a light. That's the thing. I just go out in the light. So this living entity, similarly, this living entity is in this material world, and the modes of material nature, which is the Maya Shakti, which is a part of the Maya Shakti of the Lord, or external potency of the Lord, they are doing this material energy is doing their job. Material energy is doing its job. But this living entity is away from the Supreme Lord from Anadikala, or from the beginningless, because of the fact this living entity is not having Paratattva Jnanam, or this living entity is not possessing the knowledge about the Supreme Lord. Or we can say, from our example, this living entity, or I don't have the knowledge of the presence of the light outside the room, and that's why I'm not going there to realize that next necklace is with me. So, So the point here is, and we can see that because of the presence of our subtle and gross body and the connection which I lost or I forgot that I am a spirit soul. I am a spirit soul and my consciousness start connected with the subtle and gross material body. There is a misconception. I started thinking myself as a body, and the pains and pleasure of the body I consider it to be mine, like raga. I said, right, raga, and pains, pleasure, all things I am considering it belongs to me. And because of this reason, what is happening? This mind, who is the main culprit of all these things? Of course, this living entity does not possess the knowledge of the Supreme Lord. But who is the main culprit is Manaha or mind. Mana or mind. If we can see how this mind functions, although we have so many ignorances, right? 5 kinds of avidyas we just discussed, which Brahmaji created and which was created in the primary also, which is given to us by Patanjali, right? But now these avidyas can be cut only when one sense organ of mine can surrender. Surrender. And what's that sense organ? That sense organ is mind, who is the master of other 10 senses. If we see in Srimad Bhagavad Gita again and again and again, Lord Shri Krishna is mentioning man mana bhavu mad bhakto. You just, you know, you give up your mind to me. You give up your mind to me and you surrendered onto me. If we see in Bhagavad Gita, chapter number 6, Krishna says, Udharahat atmana manam, natmanam avsa dhayet, atmeva hi atmano bandhur, atmeva ripur atmanaha. Lord Shri Krishna in Bhagavad Gita 6.5 is saying, one must deliver himself with the help of mind and not degrade himself. The mind is the friend of the conditioned soul and his enemy as well. So, if we think how mind, in 11th canto, just a story coming into my mind. In 11th canto, chapter number 23rd, there is the title is Song of Avanti Brahmana. And Lord Shri Krishna is explaining to Uddhava in this chapter that how this modes entangle a living entity, and in order to explain this fact that mind is the one who is causing the disturbance all the time, Krishna is giving a story of Avanti Brahmana. And this Avanti Brahmana, he was a very, very rich Brahmana. He had his family and he was very arrogant. So within the passage of time, he lost everything. His family, his friends, his relative became inimical from him. So the story goes like this. And then once everything, he lost everything in his life and he became so detached and he became renunciate after losing everything. Uh, and then this Brahmana, he says, uh, he says, particularly in verse number 42, chapter number 23, he says that these people are not the cause of my happiness and distress, neither the demigods. Many times we see I'm suffering because of my constellation, because of the demigods are giving me trouble, uh, because my body is giving me trouble, the planets are giving me trouble, my past actions are giving me trouble, that's why I'm suffering in this life. But this Dvija or the Avanti Brahmana, what he says it is the mind alone. He says, Manha Parma Karanam Atmanati. That means only the mind alone is the cause of my happiness and distress and the perpetual rotation in this material life. And again, this Brahmana in next words also he says the same thing. He says, only my mind is the one who is giving me so much trouble. So much trouble. All the time when I want to do something which is very good for me. This mind is never let me do it. So many things come into my way. Now, our this our today's words in the purport, Srila Prabhupada is mentioning, it's the desire. Again and again, the desire, if I have the desire to drink blood, I will get a body of a tiger. If I have a desire to perform some pious activities, I will get body accordingly. So, this desire, from where this desire is coming, from where this desire is coming, it is coming from the mind. Now just see how the mind works. This mind, now, I'm not going to just leave talking about the problems, because this is the problem we all know. Even Krishna, even Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita is saying, Chanchala hi mana Krishna. This mind is so obstinate, turbulent, and this mind is so stubborn. It's easy to control wind, but it is not easy to control mind, Krishna. And Krishna agreed. He said, yes, you are absolutely right, Arjuna. But the solution is with continuous detachment, with detachment and practice. With detachment and abhyas, with abhyas and detachment, you can practice the control of mind. Now let's just see in last few minutes how this mind works. Sure. If I have a, just, I am opening something here. Just give me a second. See this? Okay. Just see this mind? Can you see the picture of an iceberg? So this is how mind works, right? This mind, the only portion which we can see is very small portion, which we call conscious mind. We know about it, right? We know about it, what is going into my mind. Is everyone able to see the screen?
Yeah, we see the screen.
Okay. So this mind, so the little portion, we call it conscious mind, right? Now this conscious mind, I know, okay, in the morning I have to speak on Bhagavatam, I have to prepare lunch, I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to do this, after this, what, second, next day, what? So this conscious, I know about it. I know about it. But there is a big, like just like an iceberg, there is a big thing underneath this mind, which we call unconscious mind. And this unconscious mind, see, the sukshma sharir or the subtle body remains with the living entity until this living entity, for one creation. So you are changing the bodies, the material body, the gross body is changing, but the sukshma body remains the same. So this mind is the storehouse of all the activities I am doing in my previous life. In this creation, as well as whenever there is another creation also. No, in this creation, right? So what is the subconscious mind? The subconscious mind consists of these three things: samskara, vasa, and the samskara is impression. Impression is when I do something, it gives me an impression. For example, if I see this pink phone, it is in my mind. Okay, pink phone. There is a color pink, like Srila Prabhupada said, golden mountain. Impression. I have the impression of gold and I have the impression of mountain. I have the impression of a phone. I have the impression of pink phone. Okay, impression. Okay, now it is stored in my subconscious mind. Now whenever I see in my next life a phone, this impression which is there in my head or in my mind, now in my subconscious mind, it comes up, and there will be a desire, vasana. And this desire or vasana is very subtle. Subtle in my mind. Oh, this phone is, nobody is telling me that this is phone. But because I have the impression that this is the phone, So it comes in my mind, the desire to enjoy this phone because I have the positive impression from my previous life or the previous experience. Now, with this subtle desire, with my subtle desire, vritti comes. Now, what is vritti? Mental modification. That this desire I want to fulfill. And because of this, my mind, it is going into my conscious mind. From the subconscious, it is going into my conscious mind, and I want to do this mental modification. My mental modification, this consciousness is happening. And now, after this, I am performing that activity to fulfill my to fulfill my desire or my vritti. And this is the activity. And when I perform this activity, it is going to create a reaction. It is going to create a reaction. And this reaction is promising me another kind of body in future or another kind of happening in future. So this is what mind is working. The mind, the impressions are stored so tightly into my subconscious mind that there is no runaway from these desires. There is absolutely no runaway from these desires. As we heard in our purport from today, this living entity get illusioned, or I explained the 5 kinds of avidya, and this living entity connects itself very well. And with the connection, this sukshma mind is the one who is creating future bodies also. Like the desire. We just explained samskara, vasana, and vritti. And now this mind is very bad, right? This mind, because of this mind, I am just entrapped into this material world, right? So although this mind has so many bad things, now here the solution. The mind is so bad, has so many bad things, but one thing which this mind has, which can work in a positive way for all of us, and that is what? This mind get habituated to one thing very easily, and that's what are habits. So if I, most of us must have seen, when I wake up at a particular time in the morning, even without alarm clock, my body gets used to it, that my mind gets used to wake up at that particular time, and I just get up without even alarm clock. Why? Because I set my mind into that particular habit. So mind gets habituated so easily. So this is the key which can work in our favor. So that's why if we keep feeding our mind, as Sri Krishna is saying, abhyas or practice, if we keep practicing the processes which has been given, like waking up early, chanting our rounds, doing swadhyaya, reading Bhakti Shastras, Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, other books, and associating with devotees, and again, if we give our mind the positive feed all the time, this mind is going to get habituated, and even the impressions from the past life, they are going to start removing from my subconscious mind. And that's the reason why there is a rigorous process. Not really rigorous, but why devotees never waste a single minute of their life, because they are giving that practice to the mind, so that at the end, even at the end, we can prepare ourselves in such a way that at least if we don't go back to the Godhead, we at least get a human form of this rare human body again, and we can practice again, so that our mind can, just get attached to the lotus feet of the Lord. And that's what Krishna is saying again and again. And once, our mind, if we retain this knowledge which is given in Bhagavatam in our life, or realize this knowledge with the help of our mind, then it becomes very easy to cross this cycle of birth and death. So this is just an illusion, and how it goes, I tried to explain. Thank you so much, all of you, for listening. These are the answers given by Shukdev Goswami to Parikshit Maharaj on his inquiry of how come this material body is entrapped, is spiritual soul is getting entrapped with the material body. So the answers has been given that it is just the illusion. It's not really that spiritual body is anybody is tempering in the real nature of the real identity of the soul. It's just that this kind of soul, particular kind of soul which Krishna is giving in 15:16 is fallible soul, and this soul is getting illusioned because of the modes of material nature, because of lacking the knowledge of the Supreme Lord again and again, getting entrapped. And this process has been started from time beginningless. There is a connection between this living entity and material nature due to the desires this living entity possess. And in every creation, this living entity comes and remains and change the material, gross material body till one lifetime of Brahmaji of that particular creation. And what is the way out? The way out is accepting and submitting ourselves onto the lotus feet of Sri Guru and Sri Bhagavan. By continuous practice, by keeping our mind intact. So thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for a very nice lecture, connecting the questions that Maharaj was asking, which was in the previous chapter, to this one, and the answers that you gave. I also very much like the diagram that you showed, depicting the conscious mind and how small it is compared to the subconscious. And so much is kept, the subconscious keeps all the activities from previous lives, all of them are there. You can just imagine it. So much is stored from different lifetimes. Devotees, this is the time to unmute yourself. If you have questions, you have takeaways, realizations that you want to share connected to this lecture. It's time to unmute yourself and do that. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So any questions or comments?
I forgot to say one thing, that if anything you like from today's presentation, it's because of my teachers, my Shravan Guru, my Diksha Guru. And if, it must be possible, it is possible, definitely, that I make so many mistakes because I'm a human being with 4 defects. So please forgive me for that. And please bless me so that I can continue in my spiritual life. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Well, that's sentiment carried by everybody that preaches, it's the message of Guru in Uganda. But thank you for mentioning that also. It's good to remind all of us. That's our position. That's our humble position. Any questions? Any comments? If not, then we're at the top of the hour, 9 o'clock. So I'd like to thank you very much, Mataji, for coming and giving such a nice lecture. And devotees for coming to listen also. We're at the weekend now. In Saturday, tomorrow, there's Works Bhakti Yoga program on, I think it's 1327 Alleganville Road in Moulton, Pennsylvania. This is close to Reading. So that program is in the afternoon. Please make it a point to go. Krishna Prabhu puts in so much effort, with some of the devotees there to make it a very nice program, yearly program. So please attend that program. Bring your deities. This is a program where I allow the home deities to be brought. But if you're going to bring your deities, then please show up early, be punctual. So because they have to be set up before the program starts. Okay. Thank you very much again. Hare Krishna. Panchakalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhave evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Ivābhāti ki jai. Thank you again. Hare Krishna.